everybody and welcome to my channel. So for today's video, I wanted to sit down and talk about my first set of rats. Now, if you've seen my Meet My Rats video, you might have heard me saying that this group of rats is my first group. That's kind of like a half-truth statement. These are technically what I refer to as my first group of rats because I'm the one paying for them, I'm the one taking care of them, and all of that. But I did actually have rats when I was younger, but I don't really refer to those as my first group because I wasn't the one paying for them. They were gifted to me on Christmas by my parents, and they paid for basically literally everything. Actually, they paid for everything, and I had responsibility to clean the cage and take care of them, but I still don't consider that my first group because these guys are the ones I actually am educated on and care for all by myself. And also, this is my second time filming my intro because when I was editing my video, I realized that I was stuttering all over my words in my other intro. So I was like, okay, I need to sit down and refilm this as I stutter over that word. Anyway, I need to refilm this because I did not like my intro. I just looked really out of it and I was not communicating well. So I'm sitting down here refilming it. So if the rest of my video looks a bit like different with the camera angle, that's why. I thought it'd be kind of like a fun video idea to critique my old younger self and just talk a lot about the mistakes I made because I was really young and I didn't know a lot about rat care. So first I'm just gonna provide a little, background story as to why I got them. So many Christmases ago, I begged my parents to get me pet rats. And the reason I wanted pet rats was because at the time my friend had 2 female rats and I thought they were the cutest things ever. And at this time I had never owned rodents ever before. Rats were actually my first rodents I'd ever owned and my second kind of pet. I'd only had a dog before. So rodents, I was completely new with it and I really wanted these rats. So on this Christmas, I had basically backed my parents into a corner. I begged them, I was like, please, all I want is rats for Christmas. I literally had no other idea of what I wanted for Christmas. And yeah, I went to bed so upset that the Christmas, the night before, because I just remember thinking all I want is rats. And I don't think my parents will get me any pets because they don't want any more pets in the house. And that's all I wanted. I had no other plan B Christmas gift. So I remember going to bed upset. And then I woke up and underneath the Christmas tree, there were 2 boy rats. So I'm gonna have some little photos here that I'll insert of me kind of reacting to them. And yeah, so I was super excited to get them, and they were 2 boy rats like I had asked. But there was a lot wrong with how I cared for them because I was so young and I had done no research. I had just literally gotten them because I thought they were cute. So I'm gonna go into more detail on all of the things I did wrong with those guys. Before I continue with the video, I just wanna mention quickly that my intent behind this video is not to shame anyone who has done or is doing the things I'm mentioning. I'm a prime example of someone who has done these things because I simply did not know that they were wrong. So if you are doing certain things that I'm mentioning and saying they aren't great for your rats, such as putting them in a small cage, I recommend you put them in the cage that is healthy for them because they are your pet and they do deserve a great life. And I'm sure that that's what you want for them because they're your pet and you're watching my video. So yeah, no way am I trying to shame you at all. Just trying to educate people who, need help or want to learn more about their rats and what's important for them. Because when I was younger, I don't think there were videos out there like this, or I was not aware that I could watch videos like this. But I think since the internet is getting better, people go on the internet to learn. And the reason I want to speak on it is so that if there are people out there that are making these same mistakes, you don't feel really judged because I did the exact same thing and I've learned from my mistakes. So sometimes you just gotta own your mistakes, power through it, and do better, which is what I had to do. It's never too late, to change how you're treating a pet or how you are, caring for it. So anyways, on with the video. That's all I wanted to say. So the first first thing we kind of did wrong was that we got our pets from a pet store. Now, obviously this isn't my parents' fault because I had basically begged them for these rats with no information on them, so how would they have known that getting rats from a pet store is a bad thing? So it's not their fault. I just didn't do any research, but the reason you shouldn't get pet rats from a pet store, if you don't know, basically they're kind of bred in like these mills, which are kind of like factories, where they just mass breed a bunch of rats, and it's really bad for their health. They're just there to keep breeding and breeding and breeding, and then they're shipped off to these pet stores where they're sold. So typically you'll get like sick rats from these pet stores because they're bred in such bad conditions, or you'll just get rats that are really like not tame, if that makes sense, because they weren't bred for personality or anything like that. They were just mass bred. So I know that's kind of sad, and I'm not judging any of you guys who have gotten pets from a pet store because I did the same thing. I don't know if it's like that for any other pets, but I know for sure that's what happens with pet rats. In the future, if you're gonna get more, try to go for a breeder or try and go for a like a rescue kind of situation, because those rats need homes more, the rescues, and reputable breeders breed rats for, you know, personality, for health, and you'll just get a much better behaved rat, and you won't be supporting pet stores who basically, yeah, support unethical breeding. But yeah, that was just kind of the first mistake. Obviously it was no one's fault, just me being uneducated and wanting pets as a kid. For number 2, the thing I did wrong was I put them in a way too small cage. So again, just uneducated. I did not know that they had to be in bigger cages. I think what pet stores do wrong is that they will advertise a cage for like, oh, a guinea pig or a rabbit or a hamster, any pet really, and they'll say, oh, this is their cage. The pet stores advertise this, but they are not the right size for these pets, and that always happens. So we just trusted the pet store because we didn't know anything was, you know, wrong with that. Sorry, I'm gonna pick up this rat because he's at my feet. Do you want to come up and say hi? So we just didn't know, again, anything was wrong with pet store advice. We just trusted them. No, you can't go up there because I have my plants up there. What was I saying? These guys are so distracting. They're so cute though. He's so interested in my plants. He just wants to get in them. I know you. Yes, you're so cute. Look at Arlo. Anyways, what I was saying, putting rats into too small of a cage is basically like shoving a person into a bathroom and saying, live with it. The cage was so small, and looking back at it, I feel so bad. Obviously, we didn't know what was too small for a rat, but oh my gosh, it was not great living conditions for those poor little guys. The third thing I did wrong with my pet rats when I was younger was that I did not take them out every single day. So you're supposed to take your rats out, if you do not know, for a minimum of like an hour each day. When I had rats when I was younger, I'm gonna be honest, I don't remember taking them out like at all, really. Like, I took them out when I had friends over, and my mom and dad would tell me that they would take them out. But me personally, I do not remember like letting them out like I let these guys out, like letting them out to run, because initially I had my rats in my room when I was younger, and then I had moved them to the what's it called? To the laundry room. So they were kind of just in a laundry room, and I would say hi to them every time I left, because where my laundry room was in my old house, it was kind of near my my door to leave the house. So I would like speak to them and communicate with them, I guess, but I wouldn't like let them out and run around because they didn't have like a room for me to just open the doors, because I had moved them out of my room because I thought they were too smelly. So you should always try and let your rats run around each day. And sometimes I know that can be unrealistic, like you're just extremely busy, or maybe you're not feeling well and you can't get out of bed. So sometimes there'll be days where I do miss a day, but then I'll let them out for extra the next day. And you shouldn't really, oh, hi buddy. They're so cute when they come up to me, like, I can't. yeah, realistically, some days you just can't. But even if you're feeling sick, you can try to just open up the door and just lay down and let them out. As long as you're trying, I guess that's really all that matters. Just try and get them out, is what I'm saying. Oh, so cute. Now, for my fourth point, I had only had 2 boys. Now, this is kind of arguable. Some people will say that 2 is the minimum amount of rats that you need to have, and some will say that you need to have a minimum of 3. It's 100% better to have 2 rats than 1 rat alone, because rats are very social animals and they'll get depressed if they're just alone by themselves. Even if you spend a lot of time with it, it needs to have a rat friend. So yes, that's why I understand, okay, 2 rats are the minimum because it needs to have a friend. But the problem with having only 2 rats as compared to like 3 or more is because if one rat is more aggressive than the other, it'll take all of its aggression out onto the other rat because there's no other rats for it to take its aggression out on. So if you have 2 rats, they'll constantly be at each other's butts and like be fighting maybe, and yeah, they have no one else to go to, so it can cause stress on that one other rat because they don't have anyone else to run to, or the other person doesn't have anyone else to take their aggression out on. Did I say one person? I meant one rat. Anyways, that is why it's better to have a group of 3. They're also just more fun in groups of 3. They're like more rambunctious. They're so cute. I'm not gonna judge you if you have 2 rats at all, because I understand, okay, it's better to have 2 rats than only 1, and it's better that those 2 rats have a loving home rather than being out and not being adopted, I guess. So I do understand that, but if you can get a third, like it is better for them in my opinion. Okay, now this is kind of a big one. For number 5, I did not give my rats enough enrichment at all. So a big thing for rats is enrichment, and an easy way to give them this is by feeding them. So obviously rats need to eat to survive, and they love eating, they're rats. You can give them enrichment simply by literally scattering food around the cage. So they have to work to find it. Or you can stuff food into certain toys. You can make your own stuff to stuff food into. Just like feeding is such an easy way of enrichment for rats, because you can just hide their food and make their brains work to try and find it. I did not know that was a thing when I was younger. So I just fed them food in a bowl, which is kind of sad. That's a really easy way of enrichment, which I failed to do. And then another thing that I was bad at for enrichment was just toys in general. Like I remember I had like little, what are they called? Like little toys that were like wicker balls. And they had those, but they didn't have like chew toys really. Just toys in general. Sometimes I would take them out and I would make like a little maze for them, but that was so rare. And just in general, in their cage where they spent most of their time, I didn't have toys for them. Like, oh my God, it's so upsetting I can't even imagine doing that now, but I just had basically no enrichment for them. And on top of that, I didn't have like hammocks in the cage. You might have seen a hammock in the photo that I put up earlier, but I don't remember that hammock at all. So what must have happened was like they chewed it up and I threw it out and never got another one, because I swear I do not remember ever cleaning that cage and putting a hammock back in there. So I don't know what happened to that hammock, but after I threw that out, which I think I 100% did, I didn't have any hammocks in the cage. I literally had like 2 hides. So bad. I had shelves in there that were made of wood, which were so gross. The wood would they would pee on the wood constantly, and the pee would get soaked into the wood, and then I would spend hours and hours scrubbing the wood. I never understood as a kid that pee soaked into wood and that it just stayed nasty. And oh my God, it's just awful to think about me just scrubbing wood and not understanding why the pee smell isn't coming out of it. Anyway, that was a whole thing, and just their cage setup was awful. That I think was probably the worst part. So overall, I did a lot wrong, but the number one thing I want to mention at the end of this video is that I mistook these pets for being kid-friendly, which I think a lot of parents and kids do, is they think all of these rodents are kid-friendly because they're not a dog or they're not a cat. And I don't understand why that's like a thing, because, okay, dogs you have to go out and walk, okay? Maybe not kid-friendly. Cats you have to, like, I don't understand what's the difference. Cats you have to clean their litter. But same with rodents, you have to clean them a lot, and you have to feed them, and you have to take them out a lot and spend a lot of time with them. So it's, to me, they're the same equivalent to like a cat and a dog. And the only difference would be dogs you have to walk. But it's the same amount of time you'd spend letting your rats out of the cage. So that would be the biggest mistake. Mistaking those pet rats for a child-friendly animal. And thinking about it right now, I don't know what animal is considered child-friendly, because all animals take a lot of work. And the worst one is like hamsters, because people think hamsters are like the most child-friendly animal. But that's because, anyways, I'm not gonna talk about hamsters, but like that's literally because people think that you can shove them in a box and they're fine. But that's a whole other topic. But yeah, rats are not like kid friendly. Like obviously they're cute and they're not gonna bite you, and that would be why they're kid friendly, but not for kids to solely have the responsibility on them. They're so much work. And I remember as a kid, I would scrub their cage, again, that nasty wood that I had. I would scrub and clean their cage and just think, oh my God, I don't ever want to get rodents ever again. And I literally remember thinking that every week when I would clean the cage, like, this is the worst. This is literally the worst. I hated cleaning that cage. And honestly, the cage was so small that thinking about it, it was probably took me like 10 minutes. But I remember it took me forever. Like it felt like I was doing it forever. And so just the amount of responsibility that these pets are that aren't really talked about, that is what I kind of mistook them for. I just thought they would be really, really easy pets. And I don't think, my personal opinion, any rodent is an easy pet. Anyways, that's kind of my little spiel. This is a different kind of video. I kind of just felt like sitting down and talking. And my reasoning behind that, number one, was my last video. When I watched it, I commented this in the comment section. I don't know if a lot of you saw it, but when I watched my last video, the shaking and the glitching of my camera just annoyed me so bad. So I just wanted to make a video where I left my camera or my phone like just still, because oh my gosh, I can't deal with that shaking. I don't know how you dealt with it. There was no like, as of now, there's no criticism on that video. Like I thought there was gonna be comments like, oh my gosh, the shaking is unbearable, like literally. But you guys are really great, so thank you for not like making fun of that awful shaking. I did not see it in the editing at all. But anyways, that's why I wanted to sit down and kind of just have like a little story time critiquing of myself, and just not move my camera at all. And right now it's picking up on the glitching. I don't know what I did wrong. Thank you guys so much for watching my video. For the future, I do want to make a video on like kind of like a Q&A where you guys ask me questions and I answer them, but I'm trying to think of like a way you can like send me your questions. And I don't know if I should just like drop an email or if I should make an Instagram account. I know a lot of like rat YouTubers have an Instagram account because it's good for like what's it called? It's good for like interacting with people, and I know a lot of these Instagram accounts post pictures of their rats, but I know I would just get really lazy with it because taking pictures isn't like my favorite thing to do. So I don't know if I should just make an Instagram account solely for the purpose of you guys sending me questions, because I do want to be more like interactive and make a video where you guys learn more about me and more about my rats. But I'm still thinking about it. I'm still working out like the details on what I should do. But yeah, so anyways, thank you guys so much, and I'll see you in my future videos. Bye.